I will be forever the myth.
You're the king of kings,
There's always a pecking order. The little packers never mess with the big packers. So I'm a rooster, and he's a chicken, so to speak.
All right, welcome back to the Bodybuilding Legends podcast, and I have a very special guest with me today, my friend Jose Raymond, who I've been trying to get on my podcast for a while, and we finally came up with a good excuse. We're going to predict the Mr. Olympia this year, so we got our second pre-Mr. Olympia competition, or a pre-Mr. Olympia show. Jose, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, John. How you been, buddy?
I'm doing good, bro. How you doing?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I've been watching your stuff for 20-something years now, and I believe this is the first time we've actually been able to do something together.
Yeah, I've interviewed you.
I think we did something at the Tampa Pro one year, but you were a little under the weather.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, you weren't feeling too well. No, remember Dave accused you of being drunk or something? He's like, I think John's drinking.
I had one drink.
Yeah.
You know what it was? Mel was there, so I was catching up with him, and we were out in the lobby, and I kept saying, I gotta go in, I gotta go watch a show. And then, next thing you know, I'm out there for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So Dave kept asking me about the show, and I'm like, I didn't see that. I didn't see that either. I didn't see that. I caught the very end of the men's open.
What the hell's the point of being there?
Right. All right, Jose, so
controversial today. A lot of people don't like giving predictions.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was asking when I interviewed Dan Solomon, I asked him about that too, and he said a lot of people don't want to give predictions. But
well, it's a very small, intimate organization. This industry.
Yeah.
Very, very small. If you're gonna run your mouth, you're gonna bump into someone. So you have to be able to stand by your word and have a little something to back it up.
Yeah.
And do it in a nice way.
And these predictions too, I mean, we don't know what the guys look like. I mean, it's just, you're just speculating, it's just, you don't know till the day of the show what they look like. We got the Instagram pictures, and we're basing it on past performances, of course, and what we think they might do and what they've done in the past. But you never really know, you don't know until the day of the show. And then some guy might look great on Thursday and be off on Saturday. You never know.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing for sure. There's one thing I do know for sure, and I don't have to wait till the show to see it, is that Phil Heath is going to be guns blazing. He's going to be peeled, shredded, striated with that cellophane skin, because that's his genetics. That's always how he is. If that guy puts in 6 weeks of effort, he's going to look like that.
Yeah.
And God knows he's been working longer than 6 weeks. So
yeah,
I'm not predicting a win just yet necessarily, but I'm predicting that Phil Heath is going to be bizarrely inside out, and the Phil Heath that we've always seen, even when he's off.
Yeah.
Phil looked ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's the one guarantee. He's going to be inside out, twisted, gnarly, crazy. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, I thought we could start with we'll do the 212, and we'll do the Classic, and we'll, of course, do the Mr. Olympia predictions. So let's start with the Classic. So we've got a pose down, or a rematch, I guess, with Breon Ansley and Chris Bumstead. So Breon's won it 2 years in a row, and then last year in 2019, Chris Bumstead beat him. So they are back. Yeah. So Chris Bumstead, did he? Right. Yeah, I think it was a 1-point decision. I heard Breon on an interview. He said it was 1 point.
Yeah.
So what is your prediction on that, Jose? Breon.
Well, my prediction is let's go back to previous years. Breon was a 2-time champion. Comes back considerably better, improved, and places second. So all that told me was they were looking for a different look.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't lose. He didn't lose to Chris. He was replaced by the look that they were looking for, which was the taller, statuesque, classic, looking, Chris looks awesome. Love his physique. Love the way he looks, and he's a great kid. And this is by no way a slap at him.
Right.
But, how do you take it away from the two-time champ who comes back better?
Yeah.
And makes improvements.
Yeah.
So what that just told me was, they were going in a different direction.
Yeah.
They wanted the sport to go in a different direction. And I kind of understand it in the sense that, Breon, you had George, you had Keon, you had Courage, like all these guys that look like smaller bodybuilders.
Mm-hmm.
They look like, smaller 212 guys. So that isn't necessarily classic. So I think that's what they did was, we got to get away from these guys that look like bodybuilders. It's called classic physique. We're looking for a classic physique. So now you see they're pushing this kid, Logan Franklin.
Yeah.
Who is also very similar to Chris, a little longer, leaner,
tall,
more classic looking. If they had kept it going in the direction it was, you would have to have had like Breon, George, and Keon top 3 right away, bam.
Mm-hmm.
But that looks like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So I guess they did the right thing, but at the expense of a phenomenal physique in Breon. I feel bad for him because there's nothing he can do to recapture that if that's the look they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Other than put on 25, 30 pounds and go to the 212 just like George did. So I have a feeling. Huh?
Do you think the judges rewarded Bumstead for improving? Because he did improve. He looked much better last year.
Yes, they rewarded him for improving, but Breon improved too.
Yeah, right.
And there was I would argue that Breon won more shots.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly from behind. You could argue, Chris had a better vacuum. He's clearly wider up top. When he hits that front lat spread, it's incredible. But that's not even a mandatory pose.
That's true, yeah.
There's a lot of little things you can break down and say, wow, how the hell did Chris beat him?
Yeah.
Other than the fact that that's the look they were going for, which is okay. If that's what they were looking for, that's hey, that's their discretion. That's where they want that division to head in that direction. It's just unfortunate for Breon. So I think it's going to stay the same way. I predict Chris to win again. I think he's going to improve even more so because he was struggling with some health problems last year. I forget what it was. Maybe like a rare kidney issue he had.
Kidney stuff.
And he fought through it to come back and be able to win an Olympia. That's huge.
Yeah.
And my hat goes off to the kid. And I think he put that behind him. And from the pictures I've seen, he looks a lot bigger. He looks a lot fuller, bigger.
Mm-hmm.
When he's young. So he's at that age where he's going to be making improvements. I'm not sure where he's at as far as the weight limit. He's pretty tall.
Yeah.
He's got to be 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1".
Yeah.
So his cutoff is somewhere around 220.
Okay.
So I think he's safe. So he'll make those improvements and be able to hold them and not burn them off by making weight. So I think Chris is rightfully the favorite. I think he's going to win, again, because of what I said. I think the direction of the division fits him best.
Yeah.
And the kid's got a beautiful physique. So if he brings in more condition with another year's training, another year's maturity, there's no reason he should lose at all.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is there anyone out there that can surpass Breon for second? Because, again, if that's what they're looking for, how do you put Breon in second? If there's a very similar physique to Chris, knocking on the door. So someone like Logan Franklin, I don't know. I don't know. And there are some crazy physiques that I don't even know the names of. Maybe the kid that won Chicago. Did you see him?
No.
Chicago and Tampa?
I didn't. I saw Tampa. Logan Franklin won Tampa. I didn't see Chicago, though.
The Chicago pro in Atlanta, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't see that one.
Well, he had some pink hair. He had
yeah.
I was more prepared to know what his name was. He was phenomenal. He's a little longer and leaner. So I think he's gonna that kid's gonna be good. Man, I wish I remembered his name. It's Lord something. Lord, that's his Instagram. Lord, I'm gonna look it up because I love the guy's physique. Yeah. Hey, it's worth the wait. Lord.
Look at the list now. I don't see a Lord.
No. Lord. This is him. Lord Jones. Lord_Jones is his Instagram. His name's Byron Jones.
Byron Jones, okay.
Oh my goodness. This guy's so well put together. He is sharp, crazy condition. Every shot, like I don't know if you can see this on my phone. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. That's nutty.
Awesome. Yeah.
And he's right here. Look at this one. This was one that was kind of, filtered to crazy, but look at that.
Wow, great legs. Yeah.
I see this kid going in and doing damage.
Is he tall?
He's not crazy tall. I would say he's 5'11".
Okay.
5'10" to 5'11". Because there's a guy from Boston who's about 6'2" and really towered over him. So he's not a 6'1" or 6 foot. I'd say more 5'10".
Right.
But so well packed together in crazy condition. That's someone that could be in there.
Well, I predict. I think Breon's going to take it. I'm gonna go with Breon, and the reason why is I was at the show last year. And I agree with you. I thought he made great improvements, and I was shocked that he lost. But I think he took it pretty hard, and I think him and his coach, Chris Cormier, really came up with a game plan for this year. And I think they looked at it, and they think they figured out, how am I going to beat this guy? How am I going to beat Bumstead? What are they looking for, And like one of the criticisms I had with Breon last year, he's a good poser, but I didn't feel like his posing routine really connected. It didn't seem like – it seemed like he was doing some of the poses wrong. It didn't have the passion or the, not what I was looking for from a good posing routine. And I've talked to Breon before because he used to work for Old School Labs. And he said he's watched all the old posing routines, so he admires those guys and he's aware of all that. So I think he's going to really improve his posing. I think he's really improved his physique. If you watch him on Instagram, he's been really training for this show since January. And I mean, he's training with his shirt off. I mean, even when he was bulked up, he looked good. And now he's coming down. He's getting super shredded. He's got to get down to 180. So I hope he doesn't lose too much muscle. But I think he's going to come in really improved. He's doing now the vacuum pose, like when he does the front double bi instead of like crunching down on his abs. So I think he's going to make those improvements. And I don't know. I think the judges are going to really reward that. This guy's so hungry. He's a 2-time champion. He's not laying down. He's not getting pissed off about it. He's coming back. He's making the improvements. And he also said he's going to make his posing better. And he said he said him and Chris are doing poses that are making him look longer and leaner, to compete against Bumstead. So I don't know. I think he's going to pull an upset. I think he's going to dethrone the current champ and get his 3rd title.
That would be phenomenal to see.
Yeah.
It would be just great for the sport.
It's just exciting to see 2 young guys like this who really want to win, are really going after it.
Yeah.
And, that's fun to see in a division, any division.
Breon would thank you greatly for calling him young. Breon's a 40-year-old man.
Well, young compared to me.
Yeah, he's got great young man genetics, that's for sure.
Yeah, he looks young.
Yeah.
Full head of hair. And,
he's got it all, man. I hope that's a possibility because Nobody works harder. The guy is, and he's just constantly making improvements. I saw him in late September, and we were down in Tennessee, and he looked unbelievable.
Really?
You know, yeah, he's very round. He's got deceiving size.
Yeah.
Like in person, you don't think he's all that big, and then he starts posing and he totally explodes.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's one of those guys that he'll do whatever it takes to outcondition everyone.
Yeah.
He's got
I think he's got Bumstead from the back, don't you, Jose?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He did last year. You know, that's Chris's weakness.
Yeah.
Even, you know, which is ironic because his best pose is a front lat spread.
Yeah.
But from behind, he doesn't have the density and the detail of a Breon. And you know, the arms, too. Breon's got crazy arms.
Yeah. And
Chris is making improvements, but, you know, clearly they're not like Breon's arms.
Yeah.
So Chris is, you know, structurally the best just because he's just so wide and takes up so much space. And, man, he's great. Yeah,
he's great. I don't want to take anything away from him. I thought he looked great last year. He got great legs, great vacuum, great lat spread. He's wide. He's tall. Especially from the front, he looks really good. He kind of reminds me of Barry DeMay going back to the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
I got the same kind of physique as Barry DeMay.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think Breon's really hungry, and I like the fact that this guy's been killing it all year just for this one day. And I think he did his off season really well. You know, it looked like he bulked up good, but he didn't get fat. He was training hard. You could tell he was eating good all year, and he's just training really hard for this one show. So, and then, you know, if he improves the posing, I think he's got the attitude. I hope he gets it.
Yeah, I do too. He posted a picture, I want to say last week, and it was unbelievable. The condition already. It was a back pose right here. Can you see this? I'm going to keep pulling this stuff up here.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Look at the glutes, the striations in his back.
Right.
That's impressive. Hamstrings. And that was probably at 4 weeks out from the Olympia.
Yeah. When he finally gets there, dude, he's going to be so peeled. He's going to be so strong.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. Do you know any other top front runner names?
Yeah, well, you said Logan Franklin. I think he's the hot guy of the moment, you know.
Yeah.
I like that David Hoffman guy from Germany.
Yeah.
Alex Campanero from Florida is really good.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's made some really big improvements. He works with Neil Hill. He's, you know, Alex is a former 212 guy.
Right.
He's actually done a couple Olympias at the 212.
Okay.
And, you know, so he's won 212 shows, and, you know, his physique hasn't really changed much. He just went down maybe a few more pounds.
He's got great shape.
And he's another one who has crazy conditioning, crazy taper. Like his lats to his waist is just crazy.
Didn't he win the Arnold, Jose?
What's that?
Didn't he win the Arnold in Classic Physique?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's a name that definitely belongs in there.
He could be top 3.
Yeah. I know there's a few more that we're missing.
Terrence Ruffin.
Oh, exactly. Terrence is one of my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
He's still a kid.
Yeah, he is.
What's he, 25, 26?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's another one who's constantly improving because, you know, it takes years to put on slabs of muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, each year he comes back. I mean, I think at one time he was in the 150s competing as a pro.
Yeah, he's pretty short, too.
Yeah, he's probably 5'5", 5'6", tops.
He doesn't look short in pictures. He looks
right, because he's very symmetrical.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, side to side. Kind of got tall legs, especially in a rear double. It's like his glutes tie in at the back of his knee.
Yeah.
And he's got that crazy, like, almost Ronnie Coleman glutes. Like,
go way down.
And shredded.
Yeah.
So, he's another one. I'd love to see him, be a top 3 guy, you know.
He doesn't place as high as I think he always should, you know. I always think he should place higher.
I think standing in the lineup, you see that he's a little smaller.
Yeah.
Still. So structurally, in the way he shows himself, it's only a matter of time. If he puts on 2 pounds here, 3 pounds there.
Yeah.
And I know that the cutoff is probably going to hurt him at some point because he can only put on so much muscle.
Right.
But, man, what a great physique. And he comes in condition.
Yeah, all the time.
I think just as it matures, as you get older, you can look a lot bigger at the same weight as it matures. So he's one to watch out for. I'm not sure. I would have him top 5, no question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he's ready to battle Breon yet with the overall maturity.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with
but
that.
I would have him in that conversation for sure.
Yeah, and he's an awesome poser. One of the greatest posers out there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say the best right now on the scene.
Him and Santi, our friend Santi's. I think those 2 guys are the most innovative and best posers out there right now.
Yeah. Who else? Any other tall guys?
What do you think of that Wesley Vissers? The guy is he from the Netherlands? He kind of looks like Arnold. He's got a real big internet following, big YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I always thought that guy has a great physique, but he doesn't really seem to do well. But although I think he did win a pro show last year, or maybe this year, where he got his qualification. He'll be
the few times I saw him, he's just not conditioned enough.
Okay.
I don't know if he's young too or
yeah, I think he's pretty young.
Yeah, it just hasn't all come together yet. It's if it's a maturity thing or if he's just not getting dry enough. He looks amazing by himself.
Jose, you think his legs are out of proportion to his upper body?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that big rib cage like Arnold.
Yeah.
He's got good arms and he's mastered the Arnold poses.
Yeah, he looks great in his photos. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, for sure. And he's a good businessman. I know he does well with his merchandise and stuff. But I don't believe that he's ready yet. And honestly, it's a weird thing where the guys that do the best are like they look 20 pounds bigger than they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think that kid has room to get much bigger.
Yeah.
So it's going to be just like Terrence Ruffin. I think there's going to be a cutoff as to how much bigger he can get. But what can you do with the amount of muscle you do have?
Yeah.
Can you make it sharper, harder, more separated to give it the appearance of being bigger? Mm-hmm. And I think he's in that same category. I don't foresee him being a top 6 guy.
I don't know.
Not at all.
Right.
Same thing with the guy you said earlier, Hoffman. He's another one that has very classic posing and comes in condition. But I don't foresee him to be the guy I showed you a picture of, Byron Jones.
Yeah.
He will absolutely mop those guys.
Yeah, right.
Just nothing just because he's that crazy looking.
Yeah.
He's got the freak factor. And
I would think any guy who won a pro show this year has got to be in the judges' minds too, right? I mean, I think when they all line up, the judges are going to be, oh, yeah, he won the Chicago Pro Show, he won the Arnold.
Yeah, well, especially because there's only been a few of them.
Yeah.
So the winners kind of stand out.
Yeah.
And, it says a lot about them that they were able to stick it out during a pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are the real deal. The people that could diet through all this nonsense, get to a gym, get to doing cardio. They're not winners by accident. They're winners because they're dedicated and disciplined, and they got the job done under any circumstance.
Yeah.
So it would only make sense that they're going to move forward and be at the Olympia and be very, very competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the states in the country during this pandemic have shut down and stuff, so it's been hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's near impossible.
Right.
Even here, we had to sneak off to some private gyms that were closed.
Yeah.
Or even, some hardcore bodybuilder gyms they were like speakeasies. You had to go through a back door,
right.
you know, knock
Your
4
password.
times. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you know, we get it done, but for a lot of people, they don't have that.
Yeah. Jose, what do you think Classic Physique needs to do to really? Do you think it's increasing in popularity year by year, or do you think it's kind of stalling? What do you think it needs?
Maybe a more outspoken leader.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say the same thing.
It's definitely not stalling, and the promoters will tell you that by the numbers.
Okay.
You know, you'll notice that bodybuilding is shrinking daily.
Yeah.
Because of Classic Physique.
Right.
You know, all these, 25 years ago, all these Classic Physique, all these board shorts guys would have been competing with us.
Yeah.
The bodybuilders.
Right.
So you would have had 25, 30 guys in every class at a local show.
Yeah.
You know, and, some of them would have really, really skinny legs with great abs and wide shoulders, who are today men's physique guys.
Mm-hmm.
But they would have been 6 foot tall, light heavyweight competitors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I think Classic is growing. It's continuing to grow. There's a huge, I see it in my own local gyms that I train at, you'll see young skinny kids like doing this stuff and like they're practicing their classic posing.
Yeah.
There's nobody that wants to stand around and eat their face off and do deadlifts and bent rows for 15 years before they get recognized.
Right.
It takes years, decades to build the amount of muscle that Jay Cutler has.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's just the look of the physique? Like more younger guys prefer that kind of look?
Well, yeah, they prefer that kind of look because it's more attainable.
Yeah.
But would you really? I mean, I don't know. Growing up, I would definitely rather look like Ronnie Coleman than any Bumstead.
Right.
I would rather the ultimate version of Ronnie Coleman, 2001 to 2003, any one of those, or 98 to 2003. That is the greatest looking thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think they say that they like it because it's more attainable.
Yeah.
They can do it in 6 years instead of 16 years. So it's definitely growing. It's getting more exciting because you do have, I know Breon and Chris, a lot of it is playful, but they're busting each other's balls online. They're creating a little bit of a rivalry.
Yeah, which is good.
It is good. It's good for the sport. And, they just need a few characters to build it up and make it a little bit exciting. It's still in its infancy. We didn't know where it was going a couple of years ago.
You're right.
And a lot of the guys aren't going to be outspoken because they don't really know if they're going to be there in a year or two. They don't know, what it is. So I think as it, gets solidified a bit more, you're going to have more people that are a little more outspoken, stars of the division. You'll have more guest posing opportunities for them.
Yeah.
These guys might hold their condition a little bit better than a bodybuilder might. So some of the promoters are going to say, hey, I want Breon or Terrence Ruffin to come in and guest pose.
Yeah.
They're going to put on a good routine.
Right.
They're going to be in decent shape. And, that's how the division's going to grow.
I agree.
These guys need to get out on the streets, shake hands, kiss babies, take pictures, meet everyone. They have to create the characters within the division. Yeah. And it'll continue to grow. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful division. Those physiques are incredible.
Yeah.
I
was at the show last year and I was watching the prejudging, and I don't know, they had it. I think this year they got over 30 guys, and last year must have been the same. But it was guy after guy, competitor after competitor, and they all look phenomenal. I'm like, holy shit, how deep is this lineup? It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Because you might have guys that, they might have a little awkward shape, but peeled out of their minds.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with crazy back, crazy
They're all in great
chest,
shape.
shredded legs, and maybe the arms are a little smaller.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that's says a lot for the division. You know, there's guys that are unbelievable that would win most smaller shows that aren't even getting a look at the Olympia.
Yeah, there was so many great physiques last year that didn't even come close to making the top 10.
Right.
But I think you made a good point about the posing. If these guys could really improve their posing, earlier in this year, we did a podcast with Tom Terwilliger and Sean Ray, and Sean made a good point. He was talking about signature poses or signature routines that the bodybuilders in the 80s used to have. You know, I mean, you can look back at some of those. I don't know about you, but I look back at some of those tapes from the Mr. Olympias and some of those routines. Like, there's certain music I associate with each bodybuilder. Like, when you hear the Phantom of the Opera, that was Phil Hill. Barry DeMay posed to U2. But they all had certain posing routines where they were so good and they were so memorable. When I hear that song now, I remember that posing routine, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So if the guys today could develop their own style, I think too many people in all the divisions, they copy too much of what's going on. I think guys need to do their own style. They need to figure out what poses work for them and just figure out their own posing routine, their own posing style, come up with really good music, which I think is really lacking in today's posing routines. You know, they'll put some rap song or there's some song they like, but it doesn't resonate with the audience. And if more guys could do that, I think this division would really take off.
So as of now, it's simply a recommendation. It's not any reason for them to go out and do it. Now, if they made an announcement, we're going to have a pre-judging round, the symmetry round. We're going to have finals, but we are going to have the posing round that is 100% judged.
Yeah.
There's going to be a score on the score sheet for your presentation. Now, we're not going to judge who can dance the best. You know, we're not going to judge who can break dance and spin on their head like Kai Green.
Yeah,
because that's unfair. Some people just don't have that. But we are going to judge your ability to pose to the music you choose, to tell a story within your routine. You know, to be able to project and connect with the audience, make it something.
Yeah.
And if you do not if we know and can tell you didn't put any time and effort into it, you're going to get a score. It's going to reflect that.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect you. So now, as an organization, we're putting out a better product because the fans get to see better routines.
Yeah.
Because the bodybuilders actually care because now it's part of the scoring.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I've competed, I've never had a judge tell me, well, you know, it was really close between you and so-and-so, but your posing routine ruined it and he beat you.
Right.
Never has that been said to me. You know, I did put time into my posing, though. I always made sure there was some sort of connection. You know, leading up to a show, there would be a song that I would listen to on the way to the gym every day or while I'm doing cardio. I may not even be in the posing room posing to it, but I'm going over it in my head. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to do to this part of the song, or, you know, it would get me fired up. Like, I'll be driving and people see me doing this as I'm driving, you know, what the fuck is that guy doing? You know, but, you know, I always did put a little bit of time into it. There was always some song that got me. Yeah. And I help guys, I prep guys, and, you know, I'm 2 weeks out and I'm like, what song you posing to? It's like, I don't really know yet. I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I might not tell someone just because I don't want anyone's input. I never want anyone's opinion. Mm-hmm. You're like, you're going to pose that song? And because everyone's different. So I just keep it to myself. But I know months ahead of time what I'm going to pose to.
Yeah.
So if they make it a scored part, then you're going to see a lot better posing, a little more time and effort put into it. Yeah. If not, you're going to get a lot more of the same. Yeah, yeah. You know,
well, you just said too, Jose, about how there was kind of an emotional connection to the music. The music meant something to you, and I think when you do that, when you pick a song that has that emotional connection to yourself, you convey that to the audience, and then the audience gets into it. I mean,
Right.
Mr. Olympia last year, there might have been one routine, maybe, that had that kind of emotional connection.
Yeah.
I think it was Patrick Moore. I think that had, I don't know. I'm not sure about the routine or the music, but his posing was really well done.
Yeah.
And of course, he's got Lee LeBron helping him, so that's why.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
he did, yeah. But yeah, when you have that, man, and the audience picks up on that, man, that could be magical. You know, I've seen posing routines where there was standing ovations. That's freaking magical, man. When you can, and that's the art of bodybuilding. So if more guys could tune into that. Plus now we've got social media. If these guys put that routine on social media, they're instant superstars. You know, if that it's like 3 million hits.
Well, you remember when Zane Watson posed to the Sound of Silence.
Perfect example.
And Arnold got out of his chair to video it and
Yeah.
take pictures, and that skyrocketed Zane Watson to a whole new level.
Right.
You know, everyone loved him just because of the passion that he put into it, and you could tell that he worked on it, and it meant something to him. And the entire building was like, "Who is this guy?" Yeah, yeah. You know, he rented a bus and took like 46 of his relatives down from Canada.
That's great.
And they were all going bonkers. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great moment to be there and witness it.
It's a great moment, exactly.
Yeah. Right. He didn't win no Olympia. He didn't win the Arnold. No. But he won the hearts of 5,000 fans that were there watching.
And that's what posing can do. That's the power it has, you know. So I wish more people would tune into that.
Yeah.
Is he still competing, Zane Watson?
Yeah, I think I think his father passed away last year.
Mike Watson.
And they were like as close as could be. And you know, I don't know. I think he's helping take care of the family and whatnot. And I think he'll be back for sure. He's still very young. I don't even think he's 30.
Okay.
And
do you remember his dad, Mike Watson?
Yeah. I don't remember him competing in the 80s or anything, but I remember him with Zane. Yeah. You know, training with him and lots of pictures and stuff. But yeah, he was a pro, right?
No, he wasn't a pro.
No?
But, I remember him from the 1977 Mr. Canada contest. Roy Callender was coming back because Roy Callender used to compete in the NABBA universe in the 60s. And then he's tried a pro wrestling career for a while. And then Jimmy Caruso, who was the famed photographer, told Roy he's got to come back to bodybuilding. And Roy was living in Canada. So Jimmy was training him. And then Roy came back at the 1977 Mr. Canada. Jose, he was so freaking big. His pecs were like huge. I'm like, who is this guy, man? He looks like he should be in the Mr. Olympia. And sure enough, he went right to the top. He won Mr. Canada. Then he won the World Championships. Mr. Universe, he won his class. And the next year, he got third place in the Mr. Olympia. But Mike Watson was in that contest. I think he won his class. So I remember his father really well. He had really good legs, very vascular, like real vascular in the chest and stuff. So
that's Zane.
Yeah.
Zane's the same way. He's got great legs, crazy vascular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're gonna start calling you the Rain Man of bodybuilding. You go off on tangents, just start throwing names out.
Right. Well, we're in bodybuilding history, or bodybuilding legends. So we got to bring it back to that once in a while. So,
are there any other classic guys? I have a guy from Boston who could absolutely be dangerous. He's won a few shows. He won the Tampa Pro last year. Okay. I think he was top 6 at the Olympia last year. He's been top 5 at the Arnold. Abner Logan.
Okay.
And he's an ex-football player, 6'2", 240 pounds. He walks around at about 260. Great physique.
And you're training him?
No. He's actually prepped by a friend of mine. You know Justin Randall.
Yeah.
So Justin helps him. I just see him locally, and always very supportive of him. He's got a great physique.
Okay.
He's towering. I mean, 6'2". He's every bit of 6'2", and he's very well put together. He just has to nail it and decide what he wants to do. These guys sometimes, I got to be full. I got to be fuller. Well, then you're not hard enough.
Yeah.
If you're too hard, too dry, then you're too thin.
Yeah.
Just come in at your best. And don't wait. Be ready ahead of time. Be ready 100%, and you'll surprise even yourself as to how good you can be.
Right.
Yeah, I think if he nails it, I haven't seen him recently. He could definitely be a top 5 guy again, no question.
Danny Hester's doing it.
Yeah, 50, 51, 52.
Yeah.
How old's Danny?
I think he's in his early 50s. He won the very first Classic Physique Olympia.
Yeah. Danny's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. Great physique. Always had a great. Arash Rabar is in it too.
Is he doing it or he's not? I thought he dropped out.
He's on the list. I don't know if he's doing it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's 30 competitors, so there's a lot of names in there. Well, let's talk about 212, Jose. That's your division. That's the one you competed in as a pro.
Yeah.
So we got Kamal Elgarne. Did I say his name? He won last year. He's the returning champion.
Yeah.
And we got Derek Lunsford, right here from Tampa, Florida, where I live.
Yeah.
And George Peterson. I would say those 3 are the top, right? Would you agree with that?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. That's going to be your favorite.
Keon Pearson was going to do it, but then he dropped out.
He dropped out. I think no matter what, you're going to have Sean Clarita.
Yeah.
You're going to have George. You're going to have I think your top 4 is going to be that right there.
Okay.
Kamal, Derek, George, and Sean.
How about David Henry? He's also in it.
David, people sleep on David.
I know.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit if David was top 5. He belongs there. My only hesitation is that, they put him somewhere wacky last year, like 11th or something.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that off to me from what I was seeing. I didn't, I would have still had David 5th or 6th last year. I don't know. I don't know if he got lost in the shuffle or if they were trying to prove a point, like you can't come in off at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your physique can't afford to come in off at all.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I love David, and his physique is absolutely wacky.
Yeah, I agree.
And
fantastic physique.
Like I was saying earlier at the very beginning about how Phil Heath, I know one thing for sure is Phil Heath is going to look bananas. That's how I feel about David Henry. They have a very similar skin type where you can you can see their blood flowing through their skin. It's so thin.
I know.
They're very similar. When they hit a shot, it doesn't just separate. You see every fiber.
Yeah.
And it's like that throughout their body. David's back, his quads, every part of him is striated crazy.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to see David do is go back to the 200-pound, 202, 203, that version of David.
Okay.
Rather than trying to compete with guys at 208, 210, because a 202-pound David is borderline unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to God. His waist is so tiny, the hips and the muscles just explode off the bone with that, that crazy condition. He's super round. And I think when he's 4 or 5 pounds heavier, too heavy, that it kind of blurs the shock value of him. By having the tiny hips, he might get a little bit of distension in between poses, trying to hold 5 pounds extra. Just, dude, you're bigger than everyone at 200 pounds.
Yeah.
You're bigger and rounder, shoulders, arms, chest, back. He doesn't need to be over 202, 203 pounds.
Yeah, he's got that crazy fullness in his chest, his shoulders, back.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if he gives up some of that fullness for more crispness, now you have a more symmetrical physique because now, your legs may not look as off compared to the upper body.
Right.
You know,
Right.
my only advice to him would be to come in as sharp as you could, like, you know, when you're winning 202 shows.
Yeah.
Because, you know, believe it or not, I used to weigh in with David, you know. Even when he was winning 202, he wasn't 202. He was 196, 194.
Wow.
You know, and then as it grew, you know, he grew a little bit with it.
Yeah.
His best sweet spot is in the low 200.
Okay.
You know, between 200 and 203 pounds, and he could possibly win this Olympia. Like, that's how nasty he looks at that condition.
Wow.
But, you know, from the way things are, there's one thing that people don't know, is that Kamal took years off, many years off. And so this was only like his second year back when he won the Olympia. So he came back his first year back, and he won the Arnold and placed third at the Olympia.
Yeah.
And the next year, he wins the Olympia. Well, it would only make sense that he's going to continue to improve. Even though he's older, I think he's 49.
Is he
Even
really?
though he's older,
49? Wow.
he's only 3 years back into training. So he is bigger.
Why did he take off, Jose?
I think because he had I think he had conflict with either Santoja or someone within that organization.
Oh, okay. All right. I kind of remember that now. Yeah, I remember.
You know, something happened, and then he ended up going and trying to do a NABA show. That was like his first comeback show or something.
Okay.
And but he was being blackballed basically, where they wouldn't let him compete and they wouldn't let him go to another organization. So he had to actually like write Jim Mannion a letter and let him know what's going on and why this is happening. And then, you know, as far as I know, Jim was like, come on over, you know, we'd love to see you. Yeah. And next thing you know, he won the Arnold, and the rest is history. Yeah. But my point of this long-winded story is that he's only in his third year back of real hardcore training to be a professional bodybuilder, you know. He took many years off where he was, you know, focusing on family, and I believe he owns a gym or a couple other businesses. And, you know, I'm sure he was training all along, but it wasn't the same as trying to be Mr. Olympia. Yeah. So it only makes sense that he's making more improvements. I've seen photos of him. He's significantly bigger than he was at this point last year. Okay. You know, so say last year in this exact same pose at the exact same date, we'll say 4 weeks out, he was 216. And this year he's like 224. Wow. Okay. With better condition, bigger, fuller, rounder, harder at the exact same day in the same condition, if not better. Yeah. So, you know, that tells me he's going to bring a few more pounds. Kamal's not a guy that weighs in at 212. He was, you know, he's another guy who's probably 204, 203 at the Olympia last year. So he had 6, 7, 8 pounds to spare. Yeah. And my guess is he's going to come back with maybe 3, possibly 4 more pounds of muscle and retain his championship. So you're picking him to win then? I'm just saying what I think could possibly happen. Yeah. I'm going to say a bunch of other things too. Next on the list, I could see George winning. Yeah. I could see George winning. George has this uncanny ability to be the tallest guy on stage and yet be the biggest, roundest, fullest. Yeah. That you never see that. Like, how does that happen? You know, he's 3 or 4 inches taller than everyone else. So, and yet he's gigantic. Yeah. He's got the biggest back on stage, huge hanging striated pecs. Right. And, you know, when he used to get a lot of crap for his legs have really nice shape. He's got sweeping thighs. Yeah. George is not missing anything. Right. He's got big arms. And man, talk about muscle maturity. Like, he's yet to nail it too, by the way, especially
really?
at 212.
You
When
don't
he
think
won the
in
New York,
Tampa?
was it Tampa or New York? What show was that?
Tampa.
Tampa. When he
Yeah.
won that, he was, I would say, 90% at best.
Okay.
You know, that was not the sharpest version of George. And it was good, and it sent warning shots to the division, because if this guy can look like that, and clearly he's not at his best, wait till you see his best. You know, he's going to be nuts.
Yeah, I saw that show, man. He was so impressive. I mean, he dominated that contest for sure. But, I mean, man, he just looked so complete to me. And he was ripped, and he was big. I mean, I think he's my pick for the 212. But I might be underestimating Kamal, like you were talking about. But
yeah, I think, you know, Kamal's professionalism, his posing, his polish, how polished he is from every angle is really impressive. Yeah. And you know, it's hard to check all the boxes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can have 90% of them, and Kamal has 97% of them. He beats you. Yeah. That's it. It's simple as that. Yeah.
Plus he's the reigning champ too, so that's got to go in his favor.
Right. And he's hungry, and he ain't gonna just roll over. Yeah. So, you know, it's all speculation. What does a 5'8" George look like next to a 5'6" Kamal? You know, or better yet, next to a 5'6", 5'5" Lunsford, with another year better. Yeah. You know, like I said earlier, I saw Breon down in Tennessee a few months ago. Mm-hmm. I saw Derek, and I was mind fucked. Like, oh my God. I was thinking about possibly coming back, and that just put that to bed. I was like, no thanks. It looked like he grew an extra thigh muscle. Like his legs were twice the size that I remember. Yeah. His arms, shoulders, back. He had to be 240, low 240s, completely striated everywhere. Striated quads, striated lats. And I'm like, my only concern with him is, can he make weight? Yeah. And can he make weight and keep this crazy look? Yeah, right. You know the Belgian blue, that cow? Yeah, that's cow. What he looked like. Wow, really? New muscle. Like. Yeah. And, if he can come in like Kamal's condition, nobody beats him. Right. Nobody.
Well, Kamal beat him last year because he was so conditioned and Derek was off. But I mean, that's what I'm thinking with Kamal and George. I think George just has overall a better physique, more muscle everywhere, and better shape. So if he can come in really hard, like, you know, I was really impressed with the way he looked in Tampa. So I thought even if Kamal comes in really ripped, but George comes in just as ripped, I'm thinking with his better shape and better overall physique, I think he would beat him.
You know, you make a very valid point, and that was my point. That's why I said I'm going to say a bunch of things, because I can't 100% predict, but I can tell you what is a possibility. Yeah. George is easily capable of winning this show. Right. Without question. And when I tell you someone who is laser focused, that's George. Yeah. George is laser focused, and there's not a better guy on earth that deserves a championship like this. You know, the title. George is a gentleman. He's well respected by everyone. Mm-hmm. He's a good guy. He's well spoken. He's as good of an ambassador for that position, for this sport, that you could possibly ask for.
And he works a full-time job too, right?
Yeah,
full-time job, yeah.
Yeah, George, that's my man. Like, I would love to see him win.
Yeah, I felt bad for him last year when he got third in the Classic, because, God, he looked so great last year when he was way improved last year at that Classic. I felt bad.
He was awesome.
Yeah, I felt bad.
But again, remember what I said about the division, where they're heading and what they were doing?
Right.
That was just a message. Like, George, you can't get any better than this.
No.
You're not going to win.
Right.
So explore other options.
That's why I felt bad for him, because he was so peaked. He was so perfect on that day, but still he only gets third, you know. So he definitely made the right move going over to 212.
Well, I think there's going to be a great ending to this story. You know, George is going to have a hugely successful career in the 212 division, if not the open division.
Yeah.
You know, he's phenomenal in every aspect. Sean Clarita is another one. I think George coming into this class just kind of screwed Clarita.
Yeah.
George is like a gigantic Clarita.
Right.
You know, how do you have Clarita beat him?
Right.
If George is the exact same thing, only a foot taller.
Right.
You know, it's hard. I think he just totally screwed Clarita.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, Clarita is every bit as good as George, but he's just tiny.
Yeah.
You know, short.
Structure, yeah.
He's got everything. He's got the legs. He's got the glutes. He's got the back. He's got the arms, pecs, condition. He's nailed it down. You know, he's in the peak of his career. You know, where everything's just coming together, and it just looks amazing. So it's going to be interesting because you know they're going to get called out together. They're going to be standing next to each other. Now, does Clarita have more? Does he have more lines, more detail, more freak factor than George? George would have to be off for that to happen.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, and can Clarita beat him in any back poses?
Probably not.
I don't know.
No, I don't think anybody's going to be put George in a back pose.
Well, it'll be interesting. I you know, when Lunsford and him do a rear double, rear lats, they both have the freaky thick lats with striated, you know, the clamshell lats that are. It'll be very interesting to see that. So you know, unfortunately, that's kind of where I'm leaving Sean in the 4 spot, which is, man, in a lineup like this, that's almost a win.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about Derek a little more, Jose. You said you saw him and he was unbelievable. Do you think the reason he was off last year was just because he messed up his diet, or just because he's so big that when he tries to make that weight, he ends up flattening out?
Well, I talked to Derek, and I talked to him, and Derek is a very analytical guy. Like he goes back and he sees what he did wrong, and he tries to learn from it and mature and understand it. And at the time, he didn't want to discuss it. He didn't want to. He just wanted to say, "Screw everyone. You saw how I looked. I should have been better. I should have won." You know, or whatever. Well, a year later, fast forward, he's had time to look at it. He's had time to think about it, and really, you know, the only word that comes to mind is maturity. Is to mentally and emotionally mature and come to terms with he made mistakes. You know, I know he was eating burgers and whatever, maybe even pizza or something. And that doesn't work, man. I don't care who is out there. You may have won a show eating pizza, but not the #1 show in the world. You need to have everything clicking on all cylinders. And I think he made a few mistakes. Yeah. And it cost him, you know, because he was very watery. He was, and I think a lot of it too with Derek is he grew so much so fast that it's hard to chisel that down, you know, and have it pop the way it should. Yeah, you know, it takes time. Kamal's 20 years older than him. George is 15 years older than him. Yeah, even Clarita's 10 years, 12 years older than him. So their level of maturity, it's really evident when they're next to each other. Now, Derek can make significant improvements, changes from last year by not making those mistakes with, you know, diet and whatever, the carb up and that nonsense. Yeah. He can be significantly better, but I'm not sure that his body has matured yet.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I think he's going to go from that 240 that I saw to 212, and it's not going to be bursting.
Yeah.
You know, like it will, say, in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It just takes time, and he's gonna be better. I know for a fact. His whole mindset is better.
Yeah.
He's enjoying bodybuilding again. You know, the way that he came onto the scene was almost unfair. You know, he won the USA, he won Tampa the very next week, and then went to the Olympia 3 weeks later. So in a month's time, he won the USA, Tampa, and at the Olympia.
Wow.
He's the greatest thing that's ever happened, you know.
Yeah.
And so much pressure. He's signed by this company. Derek's the best. He's gonna, you know, be the next best ever. You know, watch out, Flex Lewis. And that's not reality.
Right.
You know, so he was dealing with a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And you know, he was only 23 at the time.
At a young age too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy what he had to deal with and try to stay focused on just getting better, you know. So I think each year that goes by, he's learning more about himself. He's learning more about, you know what, I blocked that out and just focus on this and enjoy bodybuilding again, and enjoy the process. And, you know, no, everybody wants to win, but how about just worry about being your best?
Yeah.
Because if you're your best, you're going to gain new fans. You're going to keep the current fans happy. You're going to gain respect. You're going to move up the charts.
Yeah.
Until, man, I think it's a no-brainer to say that Derek is going to win some big-time shows in the upcoming years.
Yeah, it's inevitable. He's got such a great physique. And he lives out here in Tampa. I've talked to him a few times. He's a really mature, very nice guy, you know. Really seems like he's got his head on his shoulders. He's engaged to a really beautiful woman, and she's getting her she's going to be a doctor, I think, or a nurse. And they bought a house out here. So he's very mature for his age, and seems like he's really got his head together, too. So, yeah, I'm sure that initial pressure at that 1 year, that had to be too much for anybody to take, you know?
Yeah, I tried to explain that in the past. And, you know, a lot of people took it as me taking shots at him. I'm like, I'm not taking shots at him. I'm taking shots at the people crowning him.
Yeah.
Because he ain't there yet. And that's a lot of pressure on this kid.
Yeah.
You know? He's not coming out and beating Flex Lewis. I don't care what you're saying or who he is, you know. He's not going to come out of the gates and beat Flex Lewis, who is the best in the world. It's come on. And it was just a lot of pressure. He's learned how to handle it. He's handling it better. You know, I've had some great conversations with him, and he stated just that. You know, he said, I didn't handle it right. There was going into that show last year, it was the worst prep of his life, he said. And he made too many mistakes, and he couldn't come back from it.
Yeah. And we've all done that. We've all been there as competitors. I mean, that happens.
Right.
Yeah. But what a great physique, right? I mean, that front double he's got, the rear double. I mean, what great shape and size.
Unreal.
Man, that kid's got some great potential.